5G Techritory. This is where we are talking about policies and strategies. If you are watching us on platform, you can also choose stage with innovations and technology. And then use, please, opportunity to ask questions. Next to the window where you are watching this session or discussion panel, please write in the comment box your questions or comments or maybe objections or suggestions. Then sometimes next to them is also an opportunity to take part in the poll. So yeah, we still have some questions on 6G networks, but now we will talk more on policies and strategies and regulations. So this discussion panel will be led by someone who's really deeply rooted in the ecosystem. So with an ambitious mandate for European digital innovation hubs to serve as one-stop shops supporting companies to respond to digital challenges and become more competitive. So this is the system where everything is happening and no one really knows what is exactly the only way to go. But this panel discussion will cover the impact on the economy, regional and EU interests, as well as ways to collaborate and measure the success of the most ambitious and desperately needed EU-wide digitalization support program. So let's see what are our opportunities. Please welcome moderator of this panel, Executive Director of Latvian IT Cluster, Aiga Irmeja, and her panel.
Good afternoon in 5G Techritory conference, people here in this room and who are watching us online. We will be discussing European Digital Innovation Hubs, or for the sake of simplicity, let's say EDIHs. EDIHs have been quite a hot topic during past years in various discussions and conferences and seminars. And this is really a topic already being discussed a lot, and still we feel that there is lots to add. Literally these days, many of hubs around Europe are signing their agreements. Some already have started their operations, but the majority of European digital innovation hubs will start their operations in January next year. However, there is quite a pattern that we see during the launch of the EDIH initiative. And this pattern highlights confusion and the differences in understanding what EDIHs should do, what EDIHs will do, and what is the basic concept of EDIHs. So, as I said, my name is Aiga Irmeja, and I'm Executive Director of Latvian IT Cluster. We are also one of 2 EDIHs in Latvia. And I have invited quite a panel of experts, renowned experts and people whom I know and whom I worked a lot together already so far, and I hope we will work in future as well. And we will discuss topic of EDIHs, how we see it, and what are recommendations for policymakers around Europe, how to shape EDIH policy and EDIH strategy so that it fits regional development needs and also European innovation and digitalization needs. So, starting from my left is Raimonds Lapiņš, Deputy State Secretary at Ministry of Economics of Latvia. When first ideas about EDIH program were launched, Raimonds was actually the one with a clear vision how EDIHs fit and what is the role in digitalization policy. So thanks to his efforts, EDIHs in Latvia have been assigned a clear role and also included in national digitalization policies and programs.
Thank you.
So next is my good friend, Maurits Butter. He represents Research and Innovation Institute TNO from Netherlands, and also a project BOWI that really works on a concept how EDIHs should collaborate among themselves. And he will share also with us some of the tools and methodologies that have been created. Next, Dr. Gabor Vice is CEO at Innomine from Hungary. And Innomine are distinguished experts in the field of strategic innovations, building innovation ecosystems, and also providing their expertise to governments and corporates. So Andinomine is also a digital innovation hub. Laima Balčiūnė, the director at Sunrise Valley Science and Technology Park, also Lithuanian EDIH. And Laima is also a member of various advisory and governing boards at national and European levels, at business education and innovation organizations. So Laima has a broad perspective on innovation and digitalization policies, both from strategy and also implementation side. And Iveta Strupkāja, Deputy Director at Investment and Development Agency of Latvia, organization that is directly in charge of many Latvian digitalization and innovation support actions, and also acting as EEN office in Latvia. So let's jump into a topic. And we'll start with the definitions. As mentioned, ambitious mandate for European digital innovation hubs is given to serve as one-stop shop, to support SMEs, which is a main target group, to become more competitive with the help of digital tools and technologies. So EDIH program is about to be launched in all EU regions, requiring EDIHs to collaborate among themselves and share expertise and access to technologies. But most important, EDIHs are supposedly to be supported equally by European Commission and member states. So at first glance, this definition seems very clear and straightforward. However, if we look more deeper in it, we see some kind of contradictions, and we also see some space for creativity from policymakers' side. And this is something that we are going to discuss. So we see that from one side, EDIHs are required to show excellence in advanced technologies, but from other side, national policymakers want to see growing digital capacity of the region, outreach of local SMEs who are low digital maturity, and do this big job in bringing digital transformation for majority of companies. So my first question goes to Gabor about SMEs. So you've been working a lot with programs supporting digitalization of SMEs. So first maybe is if you could elaborate in real life. So do you see that SMEs are really a core focus for digitalization programs as it is supposed to be? And then maybe you could also tell how do you see how to address this impact of reaching a lot of companies versus excellence with a high level and only for few.
Thank you, Aiga. I think it is very important to understand who are SMEs. And there is a definition for that, but what I would like to highlight is first that many people think that small businesses are just behaving the same as big corporates, but on a smaller scale. And I believe that that's not true, because they do need different methods to work. They are completely different. And also when we talk about SMEs, then we are talking about a large number of entities, and they are very heterogeneous. There are some who are very advanced, and there are some who are really going behind. And I believe that the major issue is that overall in Europe, universities, research centers, even governments can work together and collaborate with corporates, because if we talk about corporates, there are a few of them, and then they are easier to handle on a one-on-one approach. And the main issue in Europe that usually the smaller businesses are not able to connect to the international innovation value chains. So they do not collaborate with universities, with research institutes, and also for governments, they create a challenge because they are heterogeneous. And what is the real importance of, and why the SMEs are not able to innovate that quickly? And I think that there are three issues. That they lack access to the latest technologies, because whenever they, of course, they do have access to lots of information, but they do not need information in general and about any type of new technologies, but they need information about technologies which are useful for them. And they also have much less resources, and these resources are both in terms of human resources, so less people, and that also financial resources. So financially, an SME has much less capability than a big corporate. And this is impacting their behavior, and especially, and in these times, I think most importantly, the risk-taking attitude of the SMEs, because a big corporate might be able to afford to run 10, 20, 30 projects in parallel, and if some of them really hit, then they are able to operate. But in case of a smaller business, it really makes for them a difference if they do run one innovation project, and if that fails, then they have really an issue.
So do you see that EDIHs can have a certain role?
So absolutely, I think in this, EDIHs can have a very important role, because the EDIHs can know the local ecosystem, their needs, and then can bring the information, the network, towards that specific SME what is needed. And EDIHs can be a central point to transfer out of all the resources, out all the opportunities which are outside, the ones which are relevant that for those particular SME. And I see here the most important role of EDIHs, and especially if we talk about digitization and digital transformation, then this can mean that the SME doesn't need to test so many things and then fail so many times if some others did this already, and the EDIH can transmit this knowledge and this experience towards the SME.
Mm-hmm. Laima, what is your experience and your opinion about the role of EDIHs addressing SME needs? Should EDIH address many SMEs with like a generalized or standardized approach, or only to few with very specialized and highly innovative products and solutions?
Well, ideally it would be if we can reach out to a large number of SMEs with very high quality and extensive services. Unfortunately, that might be not doable. But perhaps we should really target that and aim for that, at least at very small steps. And I do believe that in year time, EDIHs will gain their competences, and perhaps at some stage they will be able to do high quality services for a large number of SMEs, because EDIHs they will also have to build their own maturity. So with time, we should be able to do more.
Yeah. So let's move to the next question about the impact, and I want to address this question to Raimons from policymakers' point of view. Raimons, how do you think how it should be measured? Mm-hmm. The impact is always should be measured.
Yes, I will start from position why we were in position when we started to plan structural funds. Sorry, guys, I'm losing myself. It's better. Thank you very much.
There you go.
So we started from position when there is two types of SMEs. One type of SMEs is company who is selling digital solutions. So they incorporate in a product digital solutions. They do, I don't know, products in digital security or in transport or whatever, but digital tool is in essence center part of their business. They need excellence. They need excellence, best technology available, on the edge technology to outcompete their competitors. But as we were planning investment in digitalization and the funds, and the gaps which have to be filled was huge, we realized that the biggest question is for second type of SMEs. It's a question, yes, we agree, we need to digitalize, and so what we need to do? What I have to do tomorrow. What means digitalization for me? And this is an answer which need to be, this have to be broad. So you have to cover huge amount of companies. In Latvia case, we can compare, if these digital companies, I would say it's something like 200 companies which is on the edge of technology. We can call them, we can work with them directly. I can understand how the government can cooperate with them. While in this part where you have to define what it means for you to be a user of digital tools, what actually you have to do to get the best outcome of your investments, this is the biggest challenge. That's why if there wouldn't be digital innovation hubs, we would have to invent them. And this was at that stage, even we didn't know that there will be EDIHs as a tool, so we incorporated it in our policy. So looking, and that's why at the end, why we finished at 2 EDIHs in Latvia, it's not because of covering of regions, it's just because you have completely different client types. One is working with science, new developments in the field, and developing not big amount or broad spectrum of companies, but very high level, and then you have to cover a huge amount and get to the person wherever he is living to answer for you tomorrow. Digitalization means throw out your paper writings on your bookkeeping, implement Excel. That's the level which answers which we have to give. And so in this sense, there is 2 measures which we are incorporated. First one, and most important one, is coverage. So we need to figure out, we have to calculate, and we have to achieve that as much as possible, small companies did the first step to introduce whatever digitalization project, and EDIH's role in there is to help for this company to maximize their outcomes of their investments. So this client have to be very happy about spending, I don't know, 5,000 euros, getting 2,000 from government for this first project, and actually to do the thing, and afterwards to talk about it, to say in the neighborhoods that digitalization was simple, it was this, and that, and as a result, I have covered costs, or I reduced my time on reporting or whatever their impacts they have, so that for us measure is quite simple. It's coverage and how much projects, small projects, these companies have been implemented. Yes, of course, we have KPIs and result-oriented measures for larger, as for this innovative part, but I would like to stress this, that much more important is this coverage, because this is something which even such a small country as Latvia, we just can't. As a government, we can't reach everybody. And only decentralized networks as Latvian Digital Innovation Hub can reach person by person in rural areas, everybody, to actually answer the question, simple question, what I have to do to be digital. Yes, I want, but I don't know what to do.
Thank you. Oh, Laima, would you like to add something?
Yes, I would like to add from the technical side. European Commission Joint Research Center introduced a tool for digital maturity assessment for customers of EDIHs. So it will really help us to assess the picture, what is the beginning, and after some time, after the service provision, what is the situation, how the digital maturity was raised with the help of EDIHs. And the tool is really comprehensive, and we as an organization, we are really happy that together with partners, and I think IGO is participating in it. Last year we were testing this tool, and now it is available, and as I said, it is really comprehensive, and you can determine the maturity of business strategy, human-centric digitalization, green digitalization, data management, and so on and so on. So yeah, this will be obligatory for all of us, and
Sorry, can I add to this one? Because yes, this is a very good point about digital test. It was very important, but I know already what will be the toughest points in cooperation with EDIHs, at least in Latvian case. We clearly know that the biggest challenge in test will be that we already know that it's outdated at the birth. It have to be And EDIH's role will be to add, because you will be on forefront discussing with clients, so the only persons who do understand what is lacking in this test will be you.
Yes.
And this is something which you have to, which I prepared for myself too, that we have to understand that this test, if it will be the same after, let's say, half a year, it's bad. So we need to all the time to ask you and figure out what can be improved, because it's not tested in real life. And most probably when it will hit to the face, somebody who is living, I don't know, in Valmiera, he will say that there is need additional things to be added because you can't measure me comparing with somebody else or whatever. But it means, what I want to say is that yes, it's a very good tool, but with these tools always, I want to remember that it's outdated at the birth. You have to change, start to change today, and then it will be moving forward and really good tool.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much, Raimons. You outlined national interests and how you put EDIHs into national strategy. But we have another aspect to discuss for EDIHs, because EDIHs have also international or European mandate. And Iveta, this is a question mostly for you, because you are representing an organization who basically does both things. You are also involved in national development, and you're also doing this international contacts, international things. How you see how it is possible to align national and European objectives, because both objectives are important for EDIHs.
Yeah, as EDIHs are connected at the European level, they are among the first to know about new initiatives within the EU, and being a place that holds knowledge on both local competencies and European initiatives, EDIHs can be a catalyst on leveraging new opportunities and be a matchmaker for international collaboration. And knowing the big picture, they can contribute to national tech communities to set strategical goals aligned with the EU initiatives. And of course, we see EDIHs as a crucial tool to connect these two worlds and integrate our local digitalization and development.
Thank you. Gabor, anything to add?
Yes, I think that EDIHs are very central place also to bring the international best practices and knowledge towards these small businesses. And I think that it is a very important point that some small businesses are really small and can grow, but will never be international. Some others might have the opportunity to go international. And I think that today's world, the biggest change compared to where we were 20 or 30 years ago, that even a small business can become a small multinational, meaning being present in multiple countries. And I think that EDIHs have a crucial role here to differentiate between those two groups and provide the necessary skills and information to those both groups. And I think, and I would like to connect back to this digital maturity assessment tool, that the digital innovation hubs on the local level can bridge. And if they do only the assessment, that's not enough. But they need to do and they need to show how to do the digital transformation for the small businesses. And I think that the EDIHs have various tools to do that, like just to play a bit with the local key players to say that your neighbor already did that, why don't you go for that, and things like that. These are simple tricks, but I think that's how EDIHs shall operate to really achieve the digital transformation of the local businesses.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Moritz, how do you think? International collaboration, is it beneficial from national perspective?
Oh yes, I think it's clear that we're not here because we think it's not. The problem is a little bit to downsize it to a very concrete element. So if you look at that, it is about using the capacities and capabilities throughout Europe for your region, or allowing other regions to benefit from your capacities and capability. That is very important. But if you also look at the national policymakers, one of the interests is, of course, the industry. The EDIs will enable you to create the corridors between the different regions so that SMEs can make use of market opportunities in other regions. And that's a very important interest for national policymakers. How to get the SMEs from your region or your country to go abroad and to expand the market, but also back again, using the expertise and experience, like Gabo said, in your own region. I think it's clear, if you look at the Europe now and at the world now, that European collaboration is more important than ever. So very important.
You mentioned corridors, right? So this is a topic I know you have been working a lot on, and also as a part of BOWI project, you created some tools and methodologies and how to work on it, how to start it. Maybe you could share why did you come up with such idea, why it is important, and how do you see how it will work in real life?
Yeah, thank you for this opportunity also to say something about those corridors. I think what was the main factor with the BOWI project that we came up with the idea of corridor was that everyone thought they collaborated internationally or interregionally. But what you see is that there's a lot of projects, a one-off project, and that's something that was disturbing for us. And that made us think about how to create more structural collaborations. And if you then look at what we did within the BOWI project, we developed frameworks in order to get to a higher level of collaboration. So we built templates for business models. How can you create a business model for those collaborations? How you can organize your governance, how you can organize your organization, how you can get a cultural connection between. And then also it is about creating financial structures in order to allow each other to work between each other. Another tool that we've developed is the so-called BOWI heat map. And that allows the first step of engaging between two regions, engaging with each other and setting, if you have a heat map of each region, setting the agenda for the first talks. Where can we collaborate? What are we looking for? What kind of opportunities are there to collaborate? So that's a very important tool also. And perhaps the third one is that we have an assessment tool in which two regions can explore what they want to get out of that interregional collaborations. This corridor maturity assessment tool allows you to share your ambitions between the two parties on both sides of the corridor, as we say, and that will help you to focus the discussions and focus the further development of your interregional innovation corridor.
So what is your recommendation or your suggestion for those policymakers who are quite reluctant to see companies and researchers going outside their region or like giving away money outside the region, except if it's not an export?
Yeah, so export is an important part.
Yeah.
But what we saw is that there's a lot of investment needed to create a structural collaboration between the two entities. That's why a lot of the project, it's a one-off, because you spend a lot of money to create the collaboration and then it falls down again. So that's my recommendation. Try to use those individual ad hoc projects and try to use them as a kind of a sandbox also to on the meta level in order to create that structural collaboration that will reduce the opportunities for, that will be offered next time, reduce the efforts that you need to set up the collaborations.
Mm-hmm. Iveta, you were willing to add something, right?
Yeah, I just wanted to add regarding collaboration, and I think that this is beneficial for all stakeholders actually, and one good example and one clear example is the proposal for the regulation of European health data space. And as we know, data is critical in most innovative solutions, and new drugs and healthcare methods can be developed only based on considerable amount of data, and data gathering is of course a time and money demanding process. And by creating this European health data space, which offers a space for safe health data transfer, it enables scientists to effectively use the data already collected for one purpose to research or to validate it for other researches and perspectives. It means that the same data will create more added value products, and of course it's also give positive impact to GDP.
Thank you. So we all realize that interregional collaboration is important and it brings value. I have a question for Gabor and Laima, for you too, as you are working a lot as a HUBS and also collaborating a lot. We see that there's a huge differences in understanding European Digital Innovation Hub concept among member states. So in each member state and in each region, hubs are organized in different way, with different objectives, with different structures, also with different KPIs. So how do you think, if those differences in understanding and also in execution of model among member states, does it create defragmentation of the EU impact, or on the other side, it creates even more opportunities for collaboration and it benefits even more?
I think that the basic concept and the ultimate objective of the EDIHs are similar each European region: to support the digital transformation of the SME, to serve as a one-stop shop. And how to achieve this might vary depending on the specific region, because there are very different needs. If in one region there is, for example, a very strong healthcare sector, and there are lots of SMEs, for example, in healthcare sector, then they do have a different needs, like the automotive sector or tourism. So I think that a certain level of specialization is definitely needed. And the key point is exactly here to exchange the best practices and how to work in the different sector, how to cope with the specific challenges of the SMEs, because even if in a specific region, for example, healthcare is more important, but still there will be for sure other industries, and then the EDIH cannot be expert in all fields of the economy, but this is the objective of the cooperation. And I would like to recall here also the I4MS initiative and other European Commission-driven initiatives where cascade funding methods were used, and I believe that those tools were very, very good for national states, for the member states, and also for the SMEs to get involved into the international circles and to really learn how things are done in other countries.
Laima?
I think that it's really true that each country, each region will have very different EDIHs in terms of shapes, in terms of business models, activities, and so on. But soon they will start to collaborate. They will define their weaknesses, their strengths, and I think they will start to complement each other. And as a consequence, it will be new opportunities and benefits for SMEs.
Thank you. And Laima, you at Sunrise Valley have already been working a lot to foster collaboration among digital innovation hubs at that time. So how do you see this collaboration? Where could it go in future?
Future is bright. But yes, we are working quite a lot and for a quite long time with the digital innovation hubs, now with European digital innovation hubs. And the journey started more than 4 years ago. And back then, we established a project that united DIGs from Scandinavia, from Baltic countries. And as a result, now we are having alliance for Baltic Sea region European Digital Innovation Hubs. And at the beginning of this year, we signed a contract, well, memorandum of understanding, and yesterday we had a very nice meeting, and we set points for further collaboration. And what next we have, of course, we will need to map specialization. We will need to connect regional innovation ecosystems. Of course, we will have to work on understanding and trust. And I think that in 1 year time, we will start drafting new initiatives and new projects for industry digitalization.
So future is bright.
Yes.
So thank you very much, and maybe finalizing our discussion, I would like all of you, concluding today's discussion, give 1, 2, okay, maybe 3 recommendation for policymakers. What to do next with European Digital Innovation Hub program, how to implement it, and to avoid confusions and maybe to avoid reluctancy to be involved in EDIH programs. Raymond,
Yeah,
I'll start with you.
I see. For us, I think that it's quite simple. We are really waiting that we can sit down and how the first clients coming. It will be the first step to figure out how it actually is delivered to the clients in Latvia. Then most probably, as I said, there will be some adjustments. I already can imagine that in 2023 the biggest challenges will be related that actually the network is deployed, that clients start to complain, as it always happens, there is improvements possible. So this will be the first steps. 2024, 2025, most probably we will start to see that some of our as a government activities, which we, like for example, this defining industries specialization, research specialization, we will have finally one very good partner which is actually looking on our industry from digital perspective. So there will start to be merging several activities which we have with EDIHs, like in Latvia case, everything related to the innovation project support, digitalization, human capital. In 2024, 2025, most probably this will be topics. So the next will be closer merging inside of government two policies, digital and innovation policy, closer and closer. So this is a short term. And secondly, I'm very glad to see more and more cooperation projects because it's in Baltic's case, it's not a question there is none company which can live just, for example, in Latvia. They're all international anyway. Whatever company in Latvia which is serving more than 3 clients, they are dealing already with international competition, sorry, just 2 simple words. And they have to be faced with competition from other markets, so they have to understand what is going on outside Latvia. So that's why these cooperation projects, most probably there will come a lot of new stuff which we can work together.
Supporting cooperation projects.
It is.
So, Maurits, your recommendation to policymakers?
Yeah, I'll be short.
Yep.
So use the projects, the individual projects, as a sandbox to create structural collaborations. So ask every time if there's project partners from both sides collaborating, ask them what will be done next and how you can lower the barrier for further collaboration in the future. That would be my biggest recommendation.
Yeah. Thank you. Gabor?
I think that for the EDIHs, for the member states, I do see different attitudes from the governments. Many do not fully understand what is EDIHs about and how to embed the EDIHs into other instruments and other policy frameworks. So my first recommendation is to consider EDIHs as friends and then create the framework around the EDIHs where EDIHs can really make an impact. The second thing is that I believe that EDIHs should focus their energy and their resources to the areas where they can create the biggest impact. And this means this will be different. This might be different in different regions, but I think that the impact must be a very important factor. And then, as a third one, I would like to complement Maurits in this, that EDIH in most cases doesn't know the solution completely, so they will for sure test different things. So if they fail for the first time, don't let them fail completely, but then for the next time they will do it, and they are also doing the things in a learning by doing attitude, and I think that's where the policymakers should support.
Thank you. EDIHs are friends and do impact. Laima, your recommendations?
Well, my recommendation, perhaps a wish, not a recommendation, would be for EDIHs and policymakers to talk more, because at the end of the day, we are all here for the same goal. And we have to be on the same page, and we have to share the same understanding. And EDIHs should be properly supported. And I'm not talking here about financials. EDIHs are implementing politics strategy for digitalization. So without proper support, EDIHs will not run smoothly. So I think we all should embrace flexibility, agility, and most importantly, collaboration.
Thank you. Iveta?
Competency is key, and I strongly believe that EDIH story is about knowledge transfer, so the main task might be to raise this competence by learning from the best, and even lacking proper infrastructure or investment in certain areas, national stakeholders can build basic competence for further development.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for being with us in this very short discussion about European Digital Innovation Hubs for policymakers. And we indeed hope that programs that will take off very soon will become a backbone for industry digitalization in all EU regions.
Thank you.
And we have a question for the panel. By the way, you can also ask questions to each other, or maybe do some objections to steer up things. But we do have a question from Andre. And Andre is commenting this, and the question is at the end. Most technologies, even the latest ones, have already a high maturity and technology readiness level to be applied in daily business, and so for digitalization. Even many policy frameworks are developing well on national and EU levels. Meanwhile, risks and concerns are related to people, not companies. And that is what is blocking decisions and implementations. So the question is, what is your approach to engaging and empowering people to make them trust and act? Because they are the ones who are saying, politicians, we need this, let's do it. Yeah, I'm ready to vote for it.
Yes, that's the point. Is that what I was saying? This is exactly when government was talking, and politicians, especially officials, are talking about that. Yes, digitalization is good. The biggest question is the question is not from legal person. It is just I don't know, Jānis or Maija, who is asking. It's very good what you are talking, what I have to do, what you mean by that. And that's what is, where there is no solution in existing mechanisms. Like we can't, as a government, as a ministry, we can't reach everybody to answer these questions. That's why we need network, which is in this case EDIH. And Latvia case, what is very important in the establishment part, it was very important it is not developed by government itself. So this is actually industry which created, basing on the existing network of the companies, this network in Latvia. It means that we will be not stealing additional workforce from business, from government. It is existing network. That's why I believe in our approach completely. That it's and yes, it's have to talk with people, not with companies. They have to answer them.
And on companies level, so what is that struggle, let's say?
I think that in the introductory sentences, I was talking about the risk-taking attitude of these small businesses. Because when we talk about digital transformation, that's a risky project or a risky thing for the SMEs. And if we think about the persons, it's not that the persons are at the small businesses not as much risk-taking as at corporates, but simply they do have the less resources, so they can have only one shot and they do not want to fail. And I think this is where the EDIHs have the crucial role to really support those people in these type of decisions and bring the best practices, bring practices from other companies, from other geographies in Europe, because with this they can decrease the risk. Also, governments can play a major role here to combine other programs like from the structural funds to fuel the digital transformation projects of SMEs with some grants, because that will also remove this barrier or will decrease the risk from the small business perspective.
All right, any other look on this question? Because we can translate it in all the ways.
Well, if I may, I think the EDIs are about reducing the transaction cost of the innovation relay game. So if there are companies out there that have wonderful solutions that they can bring to the other regional users, customers, or to other regions, the EDIs are there to reduce the barrier to get those technologies to the other parties. So I would very much urge also the government and also the EDIs themselves to focus on that. You're the one that gives the sticks of the innovation relay and make sure that it lands to another organization. Organize that.
All right. Anything else to add on this before we...
I've got a question.
Yeah? Good.
I was stimulated.
Finally.
Oh, yeah. I've got a question to Raymond. So the EDIs are there, and they're there for first 3 years, perhaps 7 years. But I would say that the EDIs should be there forever. Are you already thinking about that? How to deal with the questions if the EDIs have established some kind of a critical mass, but then not to have a depreciation of all the efforts that are put in there, but that they can take on forever.
Yes, completely. This was what we are started from the beginning, which is very important. We assume this is investment money, and there is 2 paying customers in this one. If we want to sustain, somebody have to pay a bill. Clearly, government itself. We have 7 years, as you said, when we have to prove with EDIHs that this is service so valuable that Ministry of Finance is ready to write check. So benefits, cost-benefit analysis, and that's it. Second one, which sometimes you concentrate too much on government because it could spend money on this, and this could be different priorities. So again, this test and all the services, especially in the field when we are dealing with SMEs which are on this M side, medium companies, if this service is of value, then they are ready to pay. So if you do this, and we will be encouraging that this thinking around services which can be sellable commercially, we have to find them and as soon as possible. And third one, this wasn't my like our plan in the beginning, but the international projects always can have impact on this too. So it's you can raise and fund, but then I would be concentrating on these two. The international projects will come, and clearly there is of interest, but long-term funding, 2 sources. The best one is commercial sales. The second best is government check for services delivered. But yes, you're completely right. 7 years, complete budget, more than 20 million euros. This is investment money.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Aiga. Thank you, Andrei, and panelists.